Earlier today, or yesterday, I did my review on Going to Seed, which was this past weekend's newest My Little Pony Friendship is Magic episode, also dubbed episode 10, the 10th in the final slash season 9 season, or the season 9 slash final season. And I stick by what I said, that it's a very good episode. It's very innocent, and it has a good moral and message that really surprised a lot of people of how they went by getting there. But one question a lot of people have is the connection, the continuity connection between this episode and the episode from a couple seasons ago, Where the Apple Lies. And I can understand exactly where people are coming from, because when you look at Where the Apple Lies and then you take a look at this episode, it's like there's some kind of disconnection. Now, Where the Apple Lies was basically a flashback episode to a time when Applejack was kind of a preteen, a little older than what AppleBloom continually is right now. So, Applejack being a preteen, having not one but two ponytails, it was a story about her telling a lie, showing that she wasn't always the honest pony that she claims to be, or people or other ponies and creatures claim her to be. And basically, the reason I bring this up, and the reason others bring this up, is because AppleBloom wasn't seen in that flashback. There was no acknowledgement of where AppleBloom was. Was she not born yet? What was going on? Because obviously this took place maybe about several years before Applejack became full grown, became basically the head of the Apple family farm. Well, I think it all depends on the writers, because as we all know, sometimes writers, story writers, script writers, don't always communicate well. So sometimes there are continuity issues. So that could be one thing. Another thing is it probably takes place at when AppleBloom is still kind of growing up as a small baby filly. In other words, she could have at this time, although being small, could have been out playing with her friends on several occasions, or taking a nap like a lot of babies do. A lot of young babies to 3 to 4 year olds do. So we could assume that. That's why she wasn't seen. She was still too young to probably understand what was going on. So the main focus of Where the Apple Lies had to be on Big Mac and Applejack. And the same could be said, because somebody pointed this out at one of the group pages, the same could be said for Diamond Tiara. Since her and AppleBloom are about the same age, same could be said for her. She was either left with the nanny, the maid, if you will, back at Spoiled Rich and Filthy Rich's a home, and that answers that, if you will. But the reason I bring this up is because there's a moment in this episode, in Going to Seed, where we get another flashback, and it's a flashback telling of when Applejack, just like AppleBloom currently is, that when Applejack was about her age, believed in the great seedling herself, this mythical creature. And just like AppleBloom was setting traps for the great seedling. And it's during this flashback that we see a young Big Mac, about maybe just a bit older than AppleBloom, bigger of course because he's a small colt, and a very baby-eyed foal, easy for me to say, but a very baby-eyed, babied AppleBloom, being carried or riding on her mom's back. So you see Bright Mac with Big Mac, a young Big Mac who's still a young colt, and you see a very tiny baby foal of AppleBloom, that's the word I was looking for, being carried by her mom, Buttercup / Pear Butter. And you also see a young Granny Smith who's still kind of at that age that she was that we saw in the flashback of Perfect Pear. Although you could tell she's getting a little older. So, again, people look at that and they wonder where's the continuity, because this doesn't add up. The continuity is the flashback that gets shown in Going to Seed takes place before Where It Lies Beneath. So there's kind of the connection. I know it might seem a little off to people, but there's your connection right there. What the story that we get in What Lies Beneath, not where the apple lies, I should say, not what lies beneath, but where the apple lies. That's easy for me to say. Where the apple lies, that takes place after the flashback that we get in Going to Seed. That's my assumption, because either A, you have AppleBloom out playing with her friends, and possibly, or in preschool, we don't know. Or she's taken a nap, which a lot of kids around that age, fictionally and reality-wise, do. And it explains why she's basically a baby foil, riding along with her mom in that flashback and Going to Seed. So, to me, as complicated as it may still seem and sound to people, that's kind of the connection right there. The flashback and Going to Seed takes place before Where the Apple Lies. And in my opinion, the reason AppleBloom isn't shown in Where the Apple Lies is, one, the story is focusing on a young Applejack and Big Mac, but at the same time, if you want to throw in that continuity perspective of, okay, where was AppleBloom, you could either assume she was in preschool, or two, she was taking a nap, like a lot of babies do. So by looking at those two opposite equations, and maybe spending time with her friends, maybe over at Rarities or Scootaloos, who knows, or even in preschool, like I said, you could use any of those two possibilities as reasonings as to why she wasn't in Where the Apple Lies, but yet she was in this flashback episode, on this flashback moment in this episode. So, long story short, so this video doesn't go too long, the flashback and Going to Seed takes place before the flashback that we get for an episode in Where the Apple Lies. And the reason AppleBloom isn't seen in Where the Apple Lies is she's either, if you want to look at it this way, either taking a nap, or she's attending preschool, maybe spending time with her friends over maybe at, let's say, Rarities. Who knows? But that's all I'm going to say, guys, on that. Hopefully it made some sense. If it didn't, I do apologize. But that's the only conclusion I can come up with. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment down below. I'll talk to y'all later.